So I read in a book over the weekend that the reason that people go to therapy typically in the first place is not for the reasons that we typically think. We assume that maybe most people go to therapy maybe because of maybe depression. Maybe that's what brings them there, or problems with their marriage or infidelity or something like that. But the most common reason to go to therapy is problems with forming human connections. And this resonated with me because it's exactly what I've kind of been trying to solve for myself, especially for the last year or so. It's funny to learn that the problem is so common. A year ago, the fact that I recognized that I utterly failed to form meaningful connections and friendships, in spite of the fact that others seemed to have no problem at all, even those that maybe that were less smart or less whatever than me, it seemed so nebulous a problem, a sort of strange and even special sort of problem. But the more I learn about myself, the more I learn how entirely unextraordinary I really am. How very, very normal I am, and that's okay. And in fact, I'm starting to think that the most extraordinary thing about me is the slow and very sincere realization of how absolutely ordinary I am. I bet maybe as I continue to think about it, I will lose that claim to extraordinariness as well. But in spite of successes in other areas of my life, my chronic failure to form meaningful connections with others is quite normal. And I make this video because maybe you can relate as well. I've been experimenting with therapy a bit for like a year now, mostly to no avail. Rumor is there's good long-term therapists out there, but you just have to find the right one, is what they say. And I am sure that there are good ones out there somewhere, but it's like a mythical unicorn, and the energy required to find them is too high, in my opinion, and you're not guaranteed success, and So quick summary. So I tried a few therapists. None were compatible with me, but I did learn two valuable things from them. The first one was from an old man therapist. He was about 70. He was a very direct sort of person, highly experienced. That's why I picked him in the first place as a therapist. And I learned from him that feelings are not thoughts. Some may already intrinsically understand this, but from what I've been reading, there are many like me that did not understand this completely, that don't intrinsically know this. So for those of you, consider for a moment that feelings, they're a physical reaction. These feely chemicals, they're not actually affected by logic and reasoning. We cannot think our way out of feelings. We can logically tell ourselves that a feeling is irrational, unbased, etc., but that doesn't make the feeling go away, and it's normal for it to not make the feeling go away. Even if the feeling doesn't make sense. If anyone else relates to this, just let me say that this is normal. So this therapist basically said, paraphrasing here, that our thoughts are one thing, but our feelings are another. So feeling, the way I put it into, the way I interpret it, kind of is, we know that feeling is biochemistry. We know that neurotransmitters are involved, dopamine, serotonin, cortisol, or whatever. But everything is chemistry. Thoughts are chemistry as well. But they're not the same chemistry as feelings. So it is absolutely normal to not be able to logic your way out of feelings. I'm not going to be prescriptive with you. I don't know what the best way to actually manage feelings are exactly. If you can't talk your way out of them and drugs are bad and stuff, I'm not sure what the solution is. But this is kind of where I am in kind of the exploration of my emotional frontier. And so I hope that maybe there's some of you that can relate to this. so bringing this back to the lack of human connection topic, this relates to that, I think. This is the other thing. I said that I learned 2 valuable things from therapists this year. This is the other thing. I learned this from a young woman who couldn't be more different from the other one that I described. There were still compatibility issues, but different ones. But anyway, so the problem, for myself at least, this inability to form meaningful friendships and connections, is normal and is related to the problem of the feelings versus logic that I've described. The feeling of being kind of out of link with the rest of the world, like a puzzle piece that's cut wrong, doesn't fit. And it seems that others are forming friendships and making meaningful connections, even people that to me seem a bit obnoxious. They seem to form these friendships, but I do not. I mean, quite possibly I'm unlikable. That's certainly a possibility. But I feel like there are unlikable people at least equally unlikable, who are managing. But there's evidence that suggests that that again, the problem is normal. And this leads me to wonder a bit, how is it that my observation that everyone seems to fit in together, how is it so ill-fitting with reality? So how can I feel so out of place and not actually be? And I don't know the answer to that either. What I can kind of summarize from this is that we do not share, as humans, we don't share one great emotional frontier. Our frontiers are our own. Our wilderness of emotional and personal development are truly wild and uncharted. And it's not made less so by the fact that others have maybe explored their own frontiers ahead of us, because their development, their personal development, is not ours. And though sometimes a person can say something that illuminates a path for us, such as for me, these 2 things that these 2 therapists said, that, we really must find our own path. Sometimes another will, for just a moment, will sort of frequency match for a moment, and the advice that we get from them is very meaningful to us at this point in time, and may have profound consequences on it. If we use that advice, may have profound consequences later on. But our emotional wilderness is still only ours.